We are heading right back into 3 Amigos versus Team Juice.
Like when you look at the 3 Amigos, I mean, Cdew has been ranked 1 on basically every healer. Venruki just got ranked 1 on Mysteries and Monks. He's played Hunter in a tournament. You know, he's obviously one of the best mages in the world.
Big Papa Pump.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he used that to beat Filevirus and team at regionals.
Yep.
Last regionals that there was. Snutz is known for multi-classing. You look on the other side, Zunniyaki, you know, he's been playing some different classes. Jahmilli plays all kinds of different classes. It's more and more and more common. There's so many players that are, you know, these guys that have amazing game knowledge, and they've played enough games that they just kind of know what they're supposed to do.
I'm glad that they're confident that, oh, I know the game this much that I can jump on another character, you know, and not have too much ramp up time.
Yep, they can just kind of emulate. So we do see there's a CS coming out onto Venruki. Both players just kind of trying to poke each other out a little bit, and Venruki really just wanted to push in there and make sure there was no way they were going to stop Snutz's gateway. And he is going to be playing Supremacy this time around, which I think is a good choice. Adds a lot more damage, but you do have to be wary of these teams that do like to train the pets, you know. And even though Shadow Priest Mage isn't really a split comp, you know, if they do commit to killing this Observer, it can get pretty annoying for Snutz. But I'm not sure that they're really going to want to do this. And so far, it looks like, you know, they're content to just kind of just turtle right now. And they're, you know, we do see that they're just going to be building up the orbs, building up the icicles. Jahmilli now has 5, and I'm guessing that Zunniyaki has his 3 orbs, and then they're going to try to go in and just burst, because, you know, the longer the shadow play waits, the kind of better it is for them, since they do have that little bit of setup time.
Yeah, Zunniyaki, you see him on his mount. You know, I don't know if he's going to be waiting for a charge in fear at this point, dropping a feather right there. Immediately, Snutz knows it's coming and gets right out of there. You know, ports back to try to support his healer. Looks like they've forced them back. As interesting play, you know, choosing to swap gateway sides, or use the gateway to swap sides rather. You know, they push in pretty deep. Looks like they did get a spell lock onto Starship.
Yeah, and the orb does come out there. We did see that Cdew, you know, Cdew did blow his NS early on. He did get sheeped up, but it was broken, unfortunately. But Zunniyaki just gonna go down, doesn't get the disperse off, and that was...
I saw a trinket. Yeah, I saw a trinket come out of Zunniyaki as he started to try to get around the pillar, you know, the little crowd control onto Starship right there. Wow, that was a fast kill onto Zunniyaki. You know, no dispersion at that point.
Yeah, that just seemed like they just massively underestimated the cooldowns coming out. I mean, Venruki threw out his orb. He was popping literally everything. You know, he used all his, like, his trinkets were up, his icy veins was up, you know, alter time, everything. The orb was out. Snutz had all his stuff up, and Zunniyaki was kind of in there behind the pillar a bit, trying to get that fear off, and he wasn't in LS of Starship, and he's just taking so much damage, and it just seemed like they got way too greedy there. And you know, this is something we've seen a couple times. You know, this happened to Zunniyaki a couple times at BlizzCon as well, where sometimes, you know, he's trying to cut it a little bit too close. You know, really make sure he can hold those cooldowns a little bit longer and stuff. And I mean, that's not the way you want to start off a series like this. You know, they're now 1 game away from elimination, and that was, you know, not even a real game. They just, it was a couple seconds long.
Well, yeah, I think that was the quickest match we've seen this whole tournament, right?
I mean,
yeah, probably. Yeah.
It wasn't a real game, and they know that. We know that. Yeah, everyone knows that. He didn't press his button, and the game ended. So you know, it's not like he's going to be complaining or anything. He's going to be saying, you know, my bad. Right. But those kind of games are the ones that I think are the most frustrating to have. You know, even as a teammate, as if you're like totally cool with it and you understand that it happens, it's still like, God damn it, man! Like, come on, you know.
Yeah, like, we saw the Stormlash was down. You know, we saw Venruki with tons of damage coming out. You know, even those haunts coming out from Snutz. You know, they knew it was coming. You know, it could have just been, you know, a little miscommunication between the healer and Zunniyaki. You know, I mean, dispersion. You know, that could have been anything. You know, hard to say from this perspective.
I mean, I think there was nothing that Starship could have really done. I think he had to disperse pretty much. Like he was out of LOS of Starship for a while, and even I kind of underestimated it. Just in that, I just assumed he was going to disperse, and I was still kind of talking about, you know, the trinkets and NS he was being used, and I was like, oh, he's still kind of getting low here, and then he just went down. But I mean, that happens. They're obviously not out of it just yet, but that was definitely, you know, not the start that they want, and you know, especially given that this is, you know, like I said, I think it's a relatively good matchup for them. So they're going to have to be really careful now, because, you know, one of the big problems in a best of 3, giving up that first game, is that you know, they don't get the last map pick. You know, so they're picking Runes of Lordaeron here, which is a great pick, but Cdew and them are going to get the last pick, so if they want to play it spread out, they can play on Tolvaron. They can kind of cater to their play style, and it also sometimes makes you play a little bit scared. You know, especially when we talked about Jahmilli, we've talked about how he loves being that aggressive, kind of crazy, ice block a CS, do whatever, that kind of stuff. But is that something you really want to do? Is that how you want to end your tournament? You ice block a counterspell or a Nova or some random thing, and then you die. It's hard to justify playing crazy like that.
We're heading back into the second match between 3 Amigos versus Team Juice.
So I think this time we definitely should follow Zunniyaki, right from the start and see how he can handle it. What's great about this tournament play is playing those mind games about who you're going to focus and stuff like that. Zunniyaki may not have been the original choice of who they were going to go on. It may have been like an opportunistic, hey, he's back here with us. We just gated on top of him. His healer is way out in the middle by himself. Maybe we should go on him.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And I mean, do you think that they're going to be able to kind of stay confident and play as aggressive as they need to?
I hope they can, because that's.
Oh, never mind.
I really hope that that's how they can stay, offensive. That's one of the gameplay styles of Jahmilli and Zunniyaki, is that they'll build up those orbs. They'll find a.
Look at the damage coming in on Snutz already. And he's actually going to use his Hellstone without his Dark Regen, and he's kind of tanking that orb, taking a massive amount of damage. Cdew is silenced up, and now the Dark Regen comes out way too late there from Snutz, and that's going to force out the Link. So I'm not sure what was happening there. Split up those cooldowns. I guess it was maybe locked out still. But anyway, Snutz took a ton of damage. Didn't take the gateway there. And a great start here for Jahmilli, Zunniyaki, and Starship in this second game. A little bit messy there.
Tried to turn it right back on them. As Snutz already has his Demon Soul out, he definitely did get full lines of dots up, except for on Starship at this point. Jahmilli did have to trinket there and Zunniyaki to try to stay offensive during that onslaught. That was a great cyclone by Starship during that offensive push on Snutz that actually forced all those cooldowns.
Yeah, look at this damage on Jahmilli, though. He's going to have to ice block here, and he does come out with that ice block. But critically, Cdew has no trinket after that as well. So that was, honestly, a very bad start here for 3 Amigos. But we'll see if they can turn it around, as Starship is sitting through that fear. Zunniyaki in a lot of trouble now as well with the deep freeze out on him. The orb connecting onto both these DPS. They need to be careful about taking too much damage from that, as the procs are going to be fed in here to Venruki, who's going hard onto Jahmilli, looking to try to finish him off, and he may be able to do it, as Starship is not there just yet. Starship going to be put into the Shadow Fury. We do see the bash comes out onto Venruki. It looks like the sheep now going to be full onto Starship. Starship does get MD'd out of that. The Away Dispel, you can see, caught by Zunniyaki there, as he did MD that off, but it looks like Starship with the Heart of the Wild is going to be able to catch everyone right back up, and the game is going to start to stabilize a little bit here.
Yeah, Starship had to use his block there too, right before that full duration sheep. So because Jahmilli was running away and actually had to healing touch himself, which it's a great use of that symbiosis, that little amount of healing that he needs to keep himself alive. We see a cyclone onto Venruki. He was just building up his icicles, just trying to do a little bit of extra damage. It looks like they are going to try to go back to Snutz still, trying to find their target, as we do see a cyclone onto Cdew. There we go. Venruki taking so much damage, having to block. Wow, that Devouring Plague just chunked his life down so fast.
And that's what I was talking about. You can force out those ice blocks as the Shadow Priest mage so fast, and now Cdew, caught into the sheep. Venruki's going to be in some trouble coming out of this. He has to be careful. We're going to see how they're going to be able to deal with this, but that is one block down almost instantly. It just takes a 1 CC and the MCS or something on Venruki to get that block, but they're turning around onto Zunniyaki. He's going to use his trinket, but once again, both players, catching that damage from the orb. Jahmilli and Zunniyaki kind of rotting down there a bit. We see the meld used by Starship. He's still holding onto that trinket. Cdew has gotten his trinket back now, which is going to be massive for them. They need to be able to have a cooldown every time to rotate through that and keep Venruki from having to block so often.
So both Jahmilli and Zunniyaki trinketed during that again. So they both have no trinkets on their DPS. Jahmilli trying to toss out a sheep, did not land. I think Cdew LOS'd it with the Ghost Wolf as he's trying to get another one. Does get it onto Snutz this time. He's going to sit it because it was only a half duration at that point. But look at the damage on both Jahmilli and Zunniyaki. Big fear coming out onto. Wow.
The dispel from Cdew was so clutch there. He was able to dispel off very quickly for the deep freeze, and Snutz has his Unbound Will as well. So if there's no VT up, he can just Unbound Will out of those. And they had the cross CC, but going on to Snutz there just did not work out just because of that quick reaction. And Jahmilli now starting to rot down quite a lot here, down to 150k. He's going to use that ice block there. Venruki was in a cyclone though, so maybe a bit preemptive, and I think that's his second block. The deep freeze comes out on Starship. Palm was up onto Venruki, but I'm not sure if it got stolen.
Oh, no.
I think it did get stolen, but he's going to be able to land the ring onto Starship anyway. Jahmilli in a lot of trouble here with that early block. He's MCS, and I think he may go down here. The Iron Bark does come out, but is it going to be enough for him to survive? It looks like the heals are coming out, but Starship now caught into the fear, and Jahmilli in so much trouble here. We do see the MCS coming out, the Frostfire Bolt crashing in, Ice Lances go down, and that is going to be that. Jahmilli falls. That early block, we talked about it.
That was such a bad series of events. Jahmilli actually blinked into the Ring of Frost. Like, he turned around and just blinked away as fast as he could, try to get to his healer, where Starship was at that point. The orb came on top of both of them in that ring, and then that was it. They landed as much CC as they wanted to onto Starship. Oh, wow, that is pretty unfortunate. We did see kind of the gameplay that we thought that Juice was going to do, that very offensive, I'm going to use my trinket to stay on my target, I'm going to use my block to stay on my target, but they ended up paying.